Welcome
Hi.
to episode number 2 of Writer's Block here on MacGuffinPodcast.com. I am Brandi.
I'm Henry McComas.
I just have the one name. It's like Cher.
She's like Madonna.
And today we're going to be talking about a writer that we're both pretty big fans of, and that is Mr. Alan Ball.
He's so dreamy.
Yeah, you know, he might be into you.
That's actually, I have a chance in that one.
Yeah, you have a chance on that one. So, Henry has said before, and he's said this about multiple things, but that American Beauty is his favorite movie of all time.
Of all time. Not
So-
Cop Out, American Beauty.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you love so much about American Beauty?
Oh,
written by
wow.
Mr. Alan Ball.
That's a pointed question right there. I feel like I'm under interrogation.
No, I mean, I like it too, but I mean, let's just kick this off.
I don't know. I felt like it was a coming-of-age piece for a 40-year-old man. that was pretty amazing. It pulled me in, and it had somebody that was too mature that started to get in touch with his inner child again. And then we see the teenager that is the opposite, that wants to become mature rapidly. Yeah, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I haven't seen this film in a long time, but I did really like it. I feel like when I went back and revisited it, though, it just feels very of a certain time, you know? So it is great for 1999, you know?
Yeah.
And for capturing a certain kind of suburban, upper middle class malaise that, you know, is very of the late 90s.
Right.
And that maybe doesn't hold up as much now, especially since things have come along that are just designed to skewer that culture, like
Right.
season 1 of Desperate Housewives or something like that, you know? Makes it a little harder to watch without thinking about things that have come after it.
It did a really good job of showing, like, you know, with every suburban movie, you could be like, this is a cookie cutter village. But he took a cookie cutter village without making it look cookie cutter. And I said that 3 times. I don't know if that makes sense whatsoever. But there was many routes it could have gone that it would have been predictable. And instead, he kind of gave an element of grit to what is gated communities of the such.
Right.
Cul-de-sacs.
And he proved that he was good at putting together a collection of dysfunctional characters
Yes.
and creating something that you want to watch out of that. Which then he would do again with 6 Feet Under.
Right.
Which
That's a transition.
you know, 6 Feet Under ran for 5 seasons on HBO. I think it started in 2001.
Right.
I was a pretty big fan. It has a couple, you know, it has some weaker seasons in there, but it ends really strongly. And the reason that I kept coming back were for those characters,
Right.
who, even when they were sort of stuck in overly outlandish plot lines, you still wanted to learn more about their interactions with each other.
Right. Yeah, and essentially people are like, what's 6 Feet Under about? And I'm like, oh, it's about a family and they bury people. And it's like, how far can you go with it? And oftentimes they went too far, but they always can go back to the family structure, which is pretty amazing because if one character is having a down day, another one's going to have an up day, and you end up loving, 5, 7 very unlikable people. There's 2 brothers, whatever. It was fantastic, and what I really liked about it is that they kind of split the wall a bit by bringing in the elements of the corpses, because each show starts off with a dead person, and so while you're learning about that family, you're also learning about the person who died as well, and that's kind of like the Jiminy Cricket of what's going to happen with the family.
Yeah, it's actually really impressive that they were able to write so many episodes. And, you know, the weaknesses of the show I never felt came from that inherent structure. You know,
Right.
it really, like, there are very few episodes where it felt super forced, whatever theme of the corpse of the week and what was going on
Right.
with the family, where you're just sort of rolling your eyes because it's like, you know, on a show like Grey's Anatomy where everybody is magically experiencing the same theme every week.
Right.
It never felt like that. Like, it always had an element of
Right.
like, that's how you can sort of be grasping onto reality even when you're dealing with a show where people talk to ghosts.
Right.
You know?
I feel like Alan Ball's always very consistent with his themes. I think one that always seems to pop up in everything that he's done, from 6 Feet Under to Towelhead to True Blood, is sexuality. Mm-hmm. He really likes to take sexuality, incorporate it into his characters, adds a dose of politics and angst, and there you go. You have an Alan Ball character.
Yeah. And he lets his characters have reactions to things that are byproducts of being sexual,
right,
that maybe you're not always allowed to show in popular media. Like, for example, when Claire gets pregnant, she's just kind of like, ugh, God, now I have to get an abortion, you know?
Yeah.
Which you're not going to see that often. Yeah, that's not how. Yeah, you know, she.
Need a light?
I don't smoke, so I don't know.
Right.
You know, he lets his characters have those kinds of reactions,
right,
instead of, you know, weeks of agony or something like that. But then they'll have weeks of agony over some tiny little thing that you just want to smack them over. But again, like, it always feels like very real.
And with the realness, he always touches hard, dark subjects as well, and I think this is where he puts an element of himself into all of his scripts, because he's also able to laugh at himself during it. For instance, American Beauty gets the flack of the handy cam videotaping the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. And I don't know how many people get. I always felt like, from watching that he was making fun of pretentious writers, and at times himself. That's a very pretentious scene, right? But I always felt like it was a gag. What was your interpretation off of it?
I can definitely see that, because in later projects where, you know, because American Beauty is a script that he wrote that then was later directed by someone else, Sam Mendes.
Right.
Who's not exactly known for being a, like, happy sort of guy, like doing happy, like, tongue-in-cheek projects or anything.
Right.
So when you see in his later projects, Alan Ball's later projects, and especially in the way that he's approached True Blood, that level of sort of fun glee, even when,
right,
you know, crazy dramatic, pretty horrible things are happening to people,
right,
I can definitely go back and see where there might have been that kind of element in the
right,
script that maybe didn't come across as much in the film. Again, you know, it's speculation, but
yeah,
but it's interesting to think about.
The character of Lafayette alone. I mean, how hard
That's
is it?
on True Blood.
Well, that's in True Blood. How hard is it to take?
If you don't watch True Blood, just stop listening now. Just go
it's
watch
true.
it.
Go home. Why are you watching this? You don't
know.
care about Alan Ball. Knock the camera.
I don't know
over.
why you're watching anything else if you haven't watched True Blood yet.
Right? So, I mean, he took a book series and he's like, this is awesome. There's lots of potential here. I'm going to take it and change many things about it and turn it into a television show. Spoilers, in the book, Lafayette
is killed at the end of the first book.
At the end of the first book. However, Alan Ball was so good at what he did, he made Lafayette the most desirable, awesome, amazing character in the entire show.
And the actor's amazing too, just as a side note. But
yeah,
that is, I've read all the books, and they're fun, but they're, you know, they're airport reads.
Right.
And, you know, the books are up to something like 9 or 10 now. And 36 episodes of True Blood with even more characters than some of the books have. I feel like I know those characters so much better than I do in the books.
Right.
Part of which is because the books are first person from Sookie's perspective, but part of which is because Alan Ball is just so good at establishing relationships between these quirky, offbeat characters right off the bat, so that you know there was never an episode where I didn't believe that Sookie and Sam have been friends with sexual tension for multiple years.
Right.
You know, there's never a situation where that doesn't seem believable.
I also felt like, since he has, you know, an hour slot for 12 to 13 episodes, he gets to dabble more into the material. From the books, as you said, we're looking at the world through Sookie's perspective. Through the show, we're looking at the world. I feel like the politics of the vampires are expressed a lot more and dug deeper in.
It's one of the most interesting parts of...
Right. the whole arc with the V, where it's actually an addictive drug. It's the equivalent to heroin. I think that's touched on much more in the show.
Oh, it's a much bigger plot point, yeah.
Yeah.
In the books, it's a lot more like vampire blood can heal you, than vampire blood is a sought after drug. That's more of an afterthought.
And I really feel like when it comes to True Blood, that the small town might be one of the number one characters, and I think that's why people want to go back to it time after time after time.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen Towelhead,
Right.
Which you mentioned earlier. But do you want to say anything else about that? Because he also directed that, I believe.
It was his director debut.
Yes, he did direct that. Spencer's cueing me. And granted, running a TV show is a lot closer to being a film director than just writing the script and handing it off to someone else. But that's, it's only film that he's directed so far. So, thoughts?
Well, he did 6 Feet Under, and then he had written Towelhead based off of a book, and I can't remember what the book was called. Nothing is Private. I don't speak pantomime.
He directed multiple episodes of 6 Feet Under and True Blood.
Okay,
Yeah.
movie debut.
Again.
All right.
He directed multiple episodes of the TV shows, but directing a movie is kind of a
This
different
is
thing.
feature-length
TV shows are very
debut.
collaborative with the writers and the directors and the producers. So
Right. So, but what we were talking about Alan Ball with politics and sexuality, I think this was a perfect project for him because he was able to mix those two and religion, which he also does with True Blood a lot.
Absolutely.
By mixing in the elements of religion, and made this girl, who I believe was 12 to 13 years old, and took her into this very dark world in the suburbs. Once again, shout out to American Beauty. This is a perfect project for Alan Ball, and made at times something that could be looked at from a two-dimensional perspective uncomfortable for every audience member. You cannot watch that movie without cringing. No one gets cut. There's not that much violence. It's just in your face intense, and it is done through the propeller of sexuality.
Wow.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I will watch it. You've made me much more intrigued.
And it was his first director debut for movies.
What? We're all just trying to get our facts straight here.
It's true.
I don't have notes today, so.
Yeah. So do we know about any other Alan Ball projects coming on the horizon?
I don't know. I think the focus is mostly on True Blood right now, but I guess I don't know 100% for sure.
Season 4 got greenlit. We're looking forward to that. And All Signs to Death of 2010.
All Signs of Death.
I know a lot about this movie. It centers on an
inveterate 20-something slacker who stumbles into a career as a crime scene cleaner, only to find himself entangled with a murder mystery, a femme fatale, and the loose ends of his own past.
It's a film noir flick.
Oh, it stars Ben Whishaw. Oh my God, I'll watch it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
He played Keats in Bright Star, which is one of my favorite movies. So
Right.
anyway, that's.
I think we're about to wrap that up.
I think we're wrapping it up. That has been our discussion of Alan Ball. And you can find a lot more discussions about many things at MacGuffinPodcast.com, including more videos featuring myself and featuring Henry.
That's me.
So, thanks for watching.
Like this post.